Okay, so I thought I would give a rundown of order and chaos in a sort of Jordan Peterson sense, but I would add a little bit of stuff I've basically come up with myself. And I'm going to get into it a little bit. It's sort of yin and yang almost a little bit, but at the same time, it's favoring the right wing. And you'll understand why by the end, basically. So the first thing is there's chaos and there's order. So the question I might put to you is, would you rather chaos in life and orderly destruction, or would you rather order in life and chaotic destruction? And then another one is, what happens if you have a system where the two are balanced somehow? Um, you know, possibly some sort of foot between a foot on each side of chaos and destruction. Is that any better? Possibly, maybe not. Um, right now, the trick to this, decoding this for a balanced worldview, is ordered life and chaotic destruction is God's eye view. For the average person who doesn't know everything, life is chaotic. And ordered destruction could mean, orderly destruction, sorry, implies that you destroy in a controlled manner, a controlled burn to prevent a rampant wildfire, forest fire, basically, from emerging. You burn a little bit here and a little bit there, and eventually it prevents a massive buildup of fuel so that one big inferno burns literally everything all at once. You know. So the human eye level is that life is chaotic at times, and destruction should be an orderly process to minimize damage done to that which does not deserve destruction somehow. God's eye view is that life is ordered according to his direction in the end, and death is chaos itself. And the topic of the combination of order and chaos, the reason why that's a little iffy too, and you can't just say, oh, I'm both and be done with it, is because there's two versions of this potential. There's anarcho-tyranny and there's ordered liberty. So if you merge the two together and you say, okay, both order and chaos are necessary, you have to determine which combination you want, whether it's anarcho-tyranny or ordered liberty. And ordered liberty is the harnessing of chaos for productivity, and anarcho-tyranny is the managed decline or managed collapse of generally a society and possibly civilizations. So ordered liberty means there are rules, but they're relatively basic rules. There's not like a lot of them necessarily. One of the phrases is something like, a civilization that's dying breeds laws like rabbits, or something like that, which implies it makes more and more laws like crazy so that everything's illegal and you can pick and choose who to prosecute and attack based on the laws because everyone's technically broken the law somehow because there's so many laws against so many behaviors. And, ordered liberty basically says, like, look, if you have a basic set of laws and you use common sense for the stuff, then you're going to catch, like, 99% of any crimes of any type that are bad behaviors. And you're going to catch a vast majority of bad behaviors without harming people doing sort of bad behaviors that are mild and so on. So, like, for instance, common sense is like, there's a woman in the UK jailed for 31 months for making a Twitter post, And I don't even care if it's like, I'm going to kill you, or like, they should kill this person or something like that. I don't care. Because a judge let off 3 people who did not make a Twitter post and delete it. So I'm like, this one woman who got 31 months. I think her name is Lucy McConnelly or something. I can't remember her name. But she got like 2.5 years of prison for a Twitter post that she deleted. So she basically was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I'll just delete it and like, I won't say that again, basically. So she's like solving the problem of her own, whatever it is she said that was bad in the first place. Whereas these other people, 3 people drugged and raped a 12 or 15-year-old. I can't remember. There's so many of these incidents of like those age ranges and stuff like that it's like they start blurring into each other a little bit. I think it was 15 years old. They lured her from an Asda, which is like a grocery store in the UK, I think, and drugged and raped the girl for 3 days. It might have been a 12-year-old. I can't remember. I think it was 15. And the judge literally gave them 0 prison time. So that's like what anarcho-tyranny looks like. It's anarchy levels of freedom to do bad things for a group of the population that exists within a country, and tyranny to other groups of people that exist within the country. And ordered liberty is basically like, I'm not going to say this is exactly how it should be. Maybe those 3 people should have gotten the death penalty. But imagine if each of them, those 3 people that actually did something way worse than post something online and delete it, got like 31 months each. And this Lucy lady got like 0 prison time. Just take the punishments and reverse them for the sake of argument here. And that would be like ordered liberty, basically. So it's like the opposite of anarcho-tyranny. It's like common sense. Like, you do horrible atrocities to people, you get punished more than if you were to steal $5 from the grocery store in like the form of a chocolate bar. Now, I'm not saying you wouldn't get caught and punished for stealing. Maybe you get like $100 fine or something like that for stealing $5, as a sort of like a slap on the wrist, basically, and sort of don't do that again, or you'll lose more than you gain. Crime doesn't pay, kind of thing. You know what I mean? But like, and then enforce that so they actually have to pay the 100 on time and quickly, and you just keep punishing them every time they steal until they learn to stop, basically, and so on. Like that kind of ordered liberty, basically, and you catch crime quickly, and the people that do crimes won't get more and more brave to do worse and worse crimes, and inspire other people to do worse and worse crimes, because they'll know they'll be caught and punished, and they don't want the punishment, and so on. And if you'll notice, there's a distinct theological God's ways are not our ways kind of position in this, which is that God orders life and makes chaos destruction. We, as people, must allow chaotic life, and I don't mean like destruction, I mean chaotic life, like just the fact that you can't predict literally every single thing that exists in life, and you don't know when a stranger is going to walk by you and say hello and so on. I mean, that's technically chaos on some level relative to what we expect. If in my formulation, at least, I mean, it's kind of ordered, in a sense, but that's like, for the simplicity argument, imagine that's chaos because you didn't technically predict it. Right? Chaotic life, kind of, you never know what life's going to throw at you, kind of like you might meet an old friend, you might meet an old flame, you might meet a stranger and strike up a friendship that'll last for the rest of your life, those kinds of things. That's what I mean by chaos, not necessarily death. That's the theological sense of chaos. That's God's view of things. In a sort of way. And then we want orderly destruction, which means the precision scalpeling of problem behaviors and so on. And anarcho-tyranny is those who are for life are strictly ordered and hemmed in and confined, and those who want death are allowed to roam freely. And ordered liberty is that you have maximum liberty for those who want life, and you confine those who want death. And that means you can destroy them as well in an orderly process as well. So that's the human level relationship between the two, basically, as far as I would formulate this particular thing. I mean, you can make an argument that the God's eye view of ordered life with chaotic death is the experience we have under anarcho-tyranny as well. But I would just say, if that's the position you're taking, to remember that anarcho-tyrannies typically are run by people with God complexes. And as one knows, God's ways are not our ways. And of course, this will explain the reason why those who seek to become gods are the worst people for all of humanity combined together. Right, like the Tower of Babel, the Noah's Ark flood, Satan, Satan wanted to be God, and he wanted to control the good people and just let loose the bad people on the good people. And like the Tower of Babel is basically we'll challenge God and become God ourselves. And like the Marxists and the sort of the Nietzscheans too, in a way, but like, there's a little bit of sort of like, I will do it in my own life kind of thing, not for wider society, to the Nietzscheans. But when it's interpreted as a societal-wide thing, you do get the Nazis technically. Sort of a bastardization of Nietzsche, but at the same time, Nietzsche was kind of letting himself open to bastardization. Kind of like how Christianity has Gnosticism as an open heresy that stems from Christianity proper. So it's like, okay, like, you kind of left yourself open to it, and it's kind of like how leftism comes from liberalism, sort of, in a sense. You left yourself open to it, and you're weak to it, and so on. So, like, how do we manage that? And basically, my final solution, no, jokes aside, my final solution for this is have the right wing win. I don't mean fascists, I don't mean Nazis, but I do mean people who drive the invaders out of their country. We are not the third world's Lebensraum, Lebensraum. Look it up, and then ask yourself, are we being treated by the third world as Lebensraum? And the answer is yes. And once you find out what Lebensraum is, you'll understand exactly what I mean. So we're defending against that. So our harshness is justifiable. It's the same reason why I didn't mind the Iraqis fighting the U.S. Marines, and I still don't mind that the USA was fought by the Iraqis and the Afghanis in those countries. I personally thought that Afghanistan was tolerable if they were to only basically do a Trump, kill Soleimani or kill Osama bin Laden and a bunch of higher-ups in Al-Qaeda, and then leave without destroying the entire country for 20 years. So that's like my line of position, reasoning, and so on for that. A revenge, punitive military expedition, not a sort of we're gonna control you and take over your country and like tell you how to live and like, and then we'll leave and then like abandon you once you've grown reliant on us and like that kind of thing, basically. So I've been against U.S. imperialism, but I'm against third world Lebensraum treatment towards the Western world as well. So yeah, those are my credentials. What can I say? That's why I'm not leftist and so on. But anyways, the right wing needs to win big time, and the classical liberalism needs to be the only remotely leftist thing that is tolerated, and then a bunch of beaten down leftists will move to liberalism, classical liberalism, and then begin the subversion of the right wing order into classical liberalism and sort of conservatives driving at the speed limit, but being progressivism driving at the speed limit, and will subvert gradually towards the left again for the next 2 or 3 generations. But the in between times now and then, after they're done with that, will be the peacefulness and so on. And basically, then 2 or 3 generations away from now, we'll have the same battle over and over again. And that's just kind of relatively common and so on. It's not unusual. We need to push back to a more 1800s style government and society and so on. Get away from the post-World War II obsession and focus on nationalism le bad and nationalism le evil and so on, into the more 1800s sort of British, European sort of, I believe in my country, I will fight to defend it and my people, and I want to represent my people, not foreigners, and so on. Maybe we can do away with actual imperialism from us, but at the same time, we can do trade deals with Africa, Middle East, and so on. And let their companies and people do the primary business transactions in those countries. So we don't have to invade them and take territory necessarily and so on. But otherwise similar to the 1800s for Europe and North America, basically. That's my story. That's what I'm sticking to. Basically, once again, ordered liberty versus anarcho-tyranny. It can feel like we're having ordered life and chaotic death rampant throughout society. And by ordered, I mean strict and controlled and confined. That's the God's eye view of how a tyrant or God complex, sort of like I'm the Jesus, I get to order everyone else around kind of thing, leads to. We want chaotic life and ordered destruction, not managed decline, but sort of the good free people and the bad confined or destroyed people. So it's like there's like 6 options, and I gave the ordered liberty, anarcho-tyranny, chaotic life, ordered death, ordered life, chaotic death. There's like 4 of them, and ordered liberty and anarcho-tyranny are the expressions of chaotic life and ordered death and ordered life and chaotic death. Yeah, you can technically use those last 2 for the first 2, and you can wordplay it and all that, and you can make an argument autistically or pedantically or something like that, but in the way that I'm using them, ordered liberty, basic common sense, and so on is the only path forwards, and we want to minimize death and destruction and chaos in terms of our actual destroying things and be controlled and disciplined in our excising of tumors so we don't harm more than we need to, and we want to have maximum freedom for our people to be good in the first place. Because one of the arguments about free will is that God did not want automatons or machines. He wanted people who could be truly good because they chose to be good. And the only way to do that is to allow people to be evil and allow them to choose evil. But in the human world, we have to deal with evil. And sometimes that means we have to destroy the people who are evil. And that's in order for life to continue, basically. You know, God can allow it, but if you notice, God always has his thumb on the scales too, historically and religious-wise speaking, in terms of like, I'll let the evil people run rampant for a while, and then I'll destroy them all. Kind of thinking, basically. That's what the book of Revelation is all about, and that's what Israel was about with the Canaanites, and that's what St. Augustine's just war theory was about, and so on. So that's a little rundown of the dichotomy of chaos and order and how different ways of looking at it slightly and my interpretation of it and so on. You can pick apart it a little bit with technical language, but you hopefully will take it as a sort of loose way of putting it and just go with the flow for common sense, basically.